Hello, Internet. As most of you know, the plan was always to get a wood stove, just because wood's basically free, just takes some effort. And, if the power ever goes out, we have a way to heat the place. Plus, there's just nothing better than wood heat. So the plan was always to get a wood stove. The plan, however, was to get a mini split heat first. The prices were similar to get the whole thing installed. Our thinking was that if we had a mini split, we could go away on vacation in the winter and the place wouldn't freeze up. So in late August, September, we ordered our mini split, and it's supposed to be getting to us in about 5 weeks, which would be October-ish. Still not super cold. So didn't show up when it said it was. Got a notification that it was going to be 2 weeks. We ended up getting all the parts that we needed except for the condenser outside and the inside units, which some of you might have no idea what a mini split is. Eventually I'll do an episode on that, so just bear with me. But the main part of the whole system kept getting pushed back. October turned into November. It was starting to get cold. We dusted off the space heaters that we had used last winter. We were actually pretty surprised that just having a few space heaters sprinkled around would keep it warm. Testament to all the careful engineering and insulation and overall design of this place. Then, November started rolling into December, and we decided we needed to change plans. So went to a few local wood stove places. Managed to find a place that had most of the stuff in stock. There was a couple of bits and bobs that were on a truck on their way, so talked at length to a guy, and sorry, my camera's trembling a little bit. It is a little cold. It's probably about 2. I guess this is an indicator how well we've adapted to life in the Northland when I don't know the difference between 2 degrees and 11 below. It doesn't seem to be a big deal to sit in a lawn chair and do a little narration, even when it's so cold. Maybe. So, yeah, picked a stove. Pretty high tech. I can go into various features later. I was a little concerned about getting the thing installed. I got to get up on the icy roof and take care of that. Managed to be in a good, when the parts came in, there was a good weather window. It had snowed, but wasn't super cold. I think it was in the teens. And on one weekend, just kind of went to town. So, yeah, the following is a video about how we ended up finally getting heat inside the barn. So, enjoy. The first step in mounting the wood stove was to install this support box. It gets bolted to the framing in the ceiling or the roof, and that's what's going to support the chimney above the roof line and sort of make the connection with the chimney that's inside the house. So took a little bit of figuring where to mount it. You can see I have a little string line dangling down there, so I needed to find the center of that, make sure that was in the center of the hearth, and make sure it was, far enough away from the wall. But once I figured out where it needed to be, it was just a matter of putting a few bolts in it, and then, as you can see, I had to patch up the insulation and the vapor barrier to get everything back in that department. The second step was setting up the scaffold outside to give me a fairly safe platform to work off of. I didn't want to do it just off of ladders. I needed something a little bit more stable with a little bit more space, so Carmen and I set up the scaffold, as you can see here. Once the support box was mounted, I was able to run a screw through the roofing. You can see it there. And then I made a little shield to spray paint a rough, oversized hole where the flue was going to go through. Now it was just a matter of cutting that hole out. As you can see, it was a little snowy, a little icy, a little cold, but this part went fairly smoothly, although it doesn't really look like it's going very smoothly. Huh?
I see the light.
Is it sticking out through the bottom?
Yeah?
There is a piece of black pipe sticking out through the bottom?
Yeah.
Okay. After getting a chimney section temporarily installed, I slide the flashing over, line it up on the roof, take a couple of measurements, make sure it's even with the roof, try to get it squared up. I lucked out with the hole. It really was pretty centered with the ribs. And then from here, I can just make a couple of marks on the roof so I know where I need to cut it. I'm going to have to cut it up at the top all the way across so I can get that flap in. And then I'll show you a little later where I have to cut it at the bottom. After I tried to fit this in, I realized that the ribs below my cut were not going to let me get this piece of flashing down flat. So I'm going to have to modify that. So then when I was happy with the fit, I marked the bottom of the flashing piece so I'd know where to cut the ribs below it. And then it was really just a matter of trying to get all the ice off my area where I needed to mount this. And I didn't really want to trap any water underneath this piece of flashing. So a little torch work, a little rag work. I really didn't want to, ruin the paint that was on the roof, so I just kind of took it slow. Took it easy. It was pretty easy. A lot easier, with an inch or two on this roof of snow rather than, the 15 inches we were about to get. Here, again, I'm just cutting those ribs at the bottom where that little flashing piece is going to tuck in. A little bit more cleanup, and then I can go back down the ladder or something. At this point, I realized that my ladder wasn't going to be tall enough for me to get this chimney up and through that flashing, so I needed to make an additional platform on top of this ladder. And contrary to my normal safety third fashion, I decided to be a little safer and ended up strapping the ladder to the roof deck, as you can see, just with some plumbing strapping. And then I'll take a piece of plywood after I fiddle around with this screw. Come on, come on, screw. There you go. I will take, come on, Mike. Come on, people are watching. Put your glove on. Take a piece of plywood and set that up on the ladder on top of the roof deck. For those of you that are a little squeamish on heights or safety, you may want to fast forward to the end of this video, but it actually wasn't that bad. Here you can kind of have a great view of all the different layers. And now I gotta grab my piece of chimney pipe and thread it all the way down through those layers. And this is kind of the moment of truth to see how well I got everything lined up. Let's see. Presto. Seems good. Uh-oh. A little bit of a mess here. I don't know what all that white stuff is. Some kind of tape on the flashing. Yeah, get a little ooze of the silicone, but that's to be expected. And yeah, that starting to seem like this thing is good to go. One thing that was totally new to me was this snow wedge apparatus. I don't know what it's called exactly. I call it a snow wedge. The guy at the woodstove store said, yeah, you probably want to have a little diverter up above your chimney because, you know, if your roof's got a couple feet of snow on it and it decides to let go, he has seen that snowfall just rip chimneys right off. So it's pretty straightforward. Took a little bit of finagling, a little bit of instruction reading, but mostly it's pretty straightforward. The last step, which I didn't really show, was putting the wind braces on. Just two solid pipe struts going off at different angles just to stop the chimney from getting blown over in the wind. It's a pretty straightforward thing. I didn't show it, but you probably get the idea. The final step was really just making the connections inside. There were three sections of pipe that I had to connect between the wood stove and the support box. One of the sections is a telescoping section, so it's sort of adjustable depending on the height that you had. Yeah, it's just double wall black pipe. I was kind of excited to just see a nice long straight flue right out the ceiling. The ceiling at this height's about 12 feet, so I had toyed with the idea early on of doing an angle out the wall and saving myself all the roof penetration headaches. But at the end of the day, I just thought this would look better, certainly get a much better draw from the flue if it's a straight shot, and it's certainly a lot easier to clean if you do have an elbow and you make that right angle out the wall. You have to kind of take the whole thing apart to clean it. Whereas if it's a straight shot, it's really pretty easy. So that's the decision I made, and at the end, I think it looks real good. Okay, so I thought I'd give you a little bit more details on this stove. It is a Blaze King, it's made in Washington State, steel body. It does have some features that are pretty unique, and one of the reasons that we bought it. So it does have a catalytic converter in it. It's similar to what's in your car. Basically, it's going to burn all the gases that it can before they go up the flue. So first thing you want to do, there's a temperature gauge up here at the top. I don't know if you can see. It goes inactive, and then there's an active zone. And right now it's in the active zone. So the first thing you need to do is get the fire big enough to get it into the active zone. Then there's a bypass. This lever is in the front when you're making the fire. I don't know if you can tell, but that's going to get the fire burning hotter. So once you get it up into the active zone, you close this damper, which basically inside the back shuts the damper so barely any gas goes up through the flue. And then the thing that makes this stove kind of unique is that it's got this thermostat here. So you can set this however you want it. If you set it at the bottom, it'll burn real hot. You can dial it all the way back to where it's barely burning. And even burning, soft woods, we've been able to get that fire stay going for about 12 hours. So it's pretty impressive. The manufacturer says you should be able to get 20 hours out of it, but I think that's with hardwood. One other thing that we did down here, there's a fresh air intake that goes directly through the wall outside. So that's bringing all the combustion air from outside and not using air that's inside here, because again, we're kind of in a sealed environment here. Not a lot of fresh air coming in, so we didn't want to burn a lot. It'll have it run up the chimney. So anyways, great stove so far. Been real happy with it. And hopefully, yeah, it continues to serve us well. So that's it.